Hi, guys. Welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. It's the 23rd day of November 2024, and we're only 5 days away from Thanksgiving. And I'm here with my partner, Eli, who put up our little banners this week in pumpkin color for Halloween. Good touch, Eli. Good
Thanksgiving,
touch.
not Halloween.
I mean,
It's all right. We want to get rid of Halloween at this point. Move along. It's okay.
all right. You got me on that one. Welcome back, everybody. And Eli, we got a lot of stuff to talk about this week. Busy week in
Absolutely.
sports, and it usually is, right? But let's jump into our monologue, which is co-sponsored by Coriano Trucking of Summer Hill, New York. And okay, Eli, so I'm going to do the monologue here, and
Yep.
it's almost, I guess we could use the term the tale of two cities, but in this case, it's the same city. The New York Jets and the New York Giants. And I'm going to start off with the Giants, and I'm wearing my Daniel Jones jersey in effigy. So, because I'm going to tell you this, you know, I've been a big fan of Daniel Jones. I was a supporter of his. I like the kid. He's tough. He's had some injuries, but, bottom line is, the record just isn't there. And primetime games, whatever. So I don't have a problem with that. I do have a problem, however, with the way the Giants handled this situation. And to bring, to take your starting quarterback and relegate him to not second string, third string, but fourth string was a humiliation. And Wellington Mara was the classy owner of the New York Giants before he passed away, and he turned it over to his son John. And they just did not handle this the way Wellington Mara would have handled it. Um, and so Daniel Jones, rightfully so, asked for his release, so he's no longer a Giant. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for the beating that he's taken. And people could say, yes, you made a lot of money and so forth. Okay, well, that's the sport, right? And that's the position, and that's the quarterback. And it didn't work out, but they could have handled this with a little bit more class. And now we have to go to the whole Tommy Cutlets thing, which leads me to believe that, you know, the Giants are going to tank for the rest of the season, so they get that draft pick, whatever, whether it's a quarterback or not. It's a kind of a small class, but I thank Daniel Jones for the guts that he's shown and the class that he has shown. I wish the Giants showed more class in handling the situation. So, and then we have the other situation with Aaron Rodgers. And I hate talking about Aaron Rodgers because I saw that this was never going to work out for the Jets. So not only did Aaron Rodgers take control of the team and say, I want, you know, Devontae Adams and I want Robert Saleh fired. Well, he got Robert Saleh fired, and I'm not a Robert Saleh guy. I didn't think he was a great head coach, but that
It
just
wasn't the
goes to show
problem.
how much influence Aaron Rodgers had over Woody Johnson and the decisions that were made. Even Woody Johnson made the statement that this was the best Jets team that's been assembled in a very long time, and that was Joe Douglas. And Joe Douglas is a solid general manager. He'll land on his feet. He'll be a giant. He'll be a general manager somewhere else. But I'm just so disgusted with Aaron Rodgers because he's not the player he once was, and I think a lot of people kind of knew that. 40 years old, it's just the Brady situation was rare, but in this case, the whole Jets thing has just blown up completely, and it 100% falls on the shoulders of Aaron Rodgers.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and give my thoughts. I'm going to first start off with Daniel Jones and the Giants. First off, it's about time that he had to be let go from this team because it took him until this year 672 days to score a touchdown back at MetLife Stadium. Up
Well
until they
aware.
played the Panthers, their record was 2-7. They lost to the Panthers, become 2-8. Should have been a winnable game versus the Panthers. They forced overtime. and it was a loss. Right there, it goes to show you he is not quarterback worthy to play right now for this New York Giants team. Do I think he will get another opportunity somewhere? Absolutely, I think he will, because I think he still has a little bit in him, and I think maybe the Giants isn't working out for him. Another team might work out for him. I do say, though, that the Giants did handle it not the best way possible.
Terrible.
Just a disgusting way that they could have ever done it, like just to go from QB1 to safety. And also, the Giants, they had Drew Lock, who I think is a better quarterback over Tommy DeVito.
100%.
And you put in Tommy DeVito. And they are, you know what they're doing it for? Social media and money.
Right.
Because they know that they can get more people in so they can do this, the Cutlets logo and the Cutlets thing. That's the whole reason. Now, I do say this. I just want to point this out before I go to the Jets. If Dallas Cowboys lose this weekend, I want them to pick up Daniel Jones. And I want Daniel Jones to be a Dallas Cowboy and take on Tommy Cutlets on Thanksgiving. That's what I want to see. It's crazy to think about that, but I want to see it happen. The reason why? Because right now, we know Dak Prescott's going to be the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys for life. He's out for a while. Their backup quarterback isn't doing much right now. Pick him up. I think there's an opportunity there. I don't know. That's just me.
We'll see. If I'm Daniel Jones, after the beating I've taken for 6 years, with the number of sacks that he has, and listen, I just think he's a classy kid. And he gave everything he had to the Giants, and that's just my perspective of why I'm disappointed in the way the Giants handled it.
Right.
Go ahead. Give me your feedback on the Jets.
The Jets. Well, they fired the wrong guy again for the second straight time. First, they got rid of Robert Saleh. Was he the problem? No, the Jets are 3-8 under their new head coach, and they fire the GM, Joe Douglas. The Jets organization needs to wake up and smell the coffee. At this point, it is not the GM, and it is not the head coach. It's your quarterback. Your quarterback leads you to a record of 3-8. This is an utterly disgrace. They have some of the best weapons that you could possibly think of on one team, and he is not executing for the Jets. This is, I guess you could say, his rookie year with the Jets, because last year we saw him for maybe one preseason game and 4 plays in the regular season. So I think at this point, the Jets need to make some moves in the offseason. I am 100% hoping that they're going to bench him in these upcoming weeks, because I think the Aaron Rodgers age is over, and I think a big test will be next week. Obviously, next week they're probably going to lose to Seattle because Seattle owns MetLife Stadium for right now, unless for some reason they decide to lose. So they're going to see a loss next week, more than likely. So now the question is, what's going to happen? I don't know. Very disappointed. Bottom line is, Jets, I think, fired the wrong guy. Daniel Jones, I want to see him become a Dallas Cowboy because I want to see the laughs on Thanksgiving versus Tommy Cutlets.
Wouldn't that be ironic that he comes in and he starts for the Dallas Cowboys against the Giants on Thanksgiving? Not going to happen. If I'm Daniel Jones,
I honestly though, wouldn't it be cool though? Wouldn't it be cool to see that happen? And then what if he proves himself right, that Daniel Jones is a worthy quarterback and the Giants are just the Giants? I mean, that would be. I wouldn't say that, Spot.
Okay, so you know my feelings on that, and I'm wearing this probably for the last time. I'll have to put it in the closet with all the other ones.
Hang it up in a case and stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So we covered that, and we're going to get back to the NFL in a little bit. Let's just start off this week, Eli, with Major League Baseball. There were a couple of awards handed out this week, and no surprise here. Paul Skeens wins Rookie of the Year in the National League and absolutely deserved it. And then the Yankees' Lewis Heel wins the Rookie of the Year. And I'm not so sure about that. He had a great start to the season. His first 8 weeks was outstanding and, almost in Cy Young consideration. And then he just tailed off a little bit. Kind of hang in there, came in. Gave it his all, but I guess from a rookie perspective, it's not a big surprise. There wasn't a big plethora of rookies in the American League to choose from, but Paul Skeens for sure earned that. And remember, he didn't even come up for the first 6 weeks of the season, but he really pitched. He's going to be a star, no question about it, and happy for that. And then, of course, the MVP awards. And no surprise on either one of these, Aaron Judge wins it, which goes to show give it to the voters, whoever did, because if you would base it on the postseason as well, then he may have lost a few votes, but he was a unanimous decision for MVP in the American League, and he absolutely deserved it with the performance that he had. And then, of course, Shohei Ohtani wins it in the National League. And this is, believe it or not, this is his third MVP already. And what's notable about this, he's only the second player in baseball history to win an MVP in both leagues.
Wow.
And the other one was Frank Robinson. So,
all right. That's some stats. That's good information.
Right. And a lot of people, may question and say, well, listen, he was a designated hitter for the whole year and stuff. But, the way he ran the bases and the impact that he had, and he's a World Series champ. So I have no problem. I think he was clearly the best player in the National League as well.
Absolutely. And we do have a comment first, and then I'm going to get to some notes here. First off, happy Thanksgiving to all. Your friend, Eric. Thanks for commenting, Eric.
Eric, thank you very much. And yes, it's let's just say happy Thanksgiving to all our loyal listeners. And in particular, Eric, thank you very much. Pride of Westchester, Pennsylvania.
Absolutely. Now, the three notes I had here for the MLB overall is the Royals traded Brady Singer to the Reds for Jonathan India. MLB will test robot umpires for spring training games at 13 ballparks. So if you thought removing the chains were bad at the NFL, try robot umpires for the MLB, which could go into place in 2026.
That's very interesting because I don't see it happening. I honestly, it's part of baseball. The umpire behind the plate, it's part of the game. And
maybe he'll make better calls though.
Okay,
I guess. And the last note is the Astros renamed Minute Maid Park to Daikin Park starting January 2025.
Yeah, and one other thing before I got another thing I want to talk about in Major League Baseball, but this whole situation with Tampa and the roof got damaged and so forth, and they're going to be playing their home games this year at George Steinbrenner Field, spring training for the Yankees. And they were going to fix the roof, and they said they can't do it in a time frame, and I said, baloney. Of course you could fix that, and you got 6 months to fix it. You could fix it. But they decided because they're going to build them a new stadium at some point in time.
It's costly. That's the issue.
Yeah.
I think another issue too is right now the Tampa Bay area, they're still trying to come back together. They're still doing donations because they're still trying to. So I think that is not a priority right now, fixing a baseball stadium. I know for us sports fans, we say, yes, absolutely, that is a major priority. But for right now, that city of Tampa, that's not the priority right now. That's the town that's priority. And, of course, we're supposed to be getting a new field. But that area, that idea has been halted, apparently, I think due to allegations, money, legal reasons, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, and part of the thing is also, I mean, they don't get a big fan base there in Tampa anyway. So that's why they're not going to make the investment. And, I think Steinbrenner Field holds like 11,000 people or something.
Right, something like
That's probably what they average anyway. So
there's no loss really in reality.
Exactly. I get it. But one other quick thing, and I saw this week, it was the Hall of Fame nominees for Major League Baseball. And, I'm very, very particular in who gets into the Hall of Fame. And a couple of guys, I think there's one guaranteed certain sure lock, and that's Ichiro, right, from the Seattle Mariners. And this guy came into the league at like 28, but he still got 3,000 hits. He is an absolute lock. So I know James Walsh, one of our loyal listeners, always makes us say, throw a name out and say yes or no. And Ichiro is an absolute yes. But there's a couple other guys that I saw on the list, and one of them was CC Sabathia, right?
Yes.
A couple of pitchers, CC Sabathia, and I think this is his first year And I always admired him. He was a guy that always wanted to play, always said, give me the ball. And he ends up with 3,000 strikeouts, about 250 wins. And you know what? If he gets in, I have no problem with that at all. But if he has to wait a year or two, that's fine, but he definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame because of the effort that he put through, and he was a committed team guy, and I love that. And but then on the other course, there's Andy Pettitte, right? If you look at Andy Pettitte's postseason record, absolutely goes to the Hall of Fame. But I was
Absolutely.
looking at the numbers and comparing them to CC Sabathia and so forth, and Andy Pettitte had close to 250 wins, about 2,500 strikeouts. But you look and at a couple of points, you say, well, his career ERA was 3.74, which seems a little bit high, right? Compared to when you set the standard for um, pitchers in Major League Baseball, like the Tom Seavers, the Bob Gibsons, right? These are guys that there's just never any question. Whitey Ford, you can throw any name out there. So these guys are on kind of the bubble. But I think if one goes in, if Sabathia goes in, then Pettitte has to go in based on the numbers. So even though the ERAs are pretty high, they both have well over 500 winning percentage. But like I said, I'm very particular about this. And if
Yeah.
there's going to be one unanimous guy to get in this time around, it'll be Ichiro.
All right. Good point.
Yeah. All right. So we kind of covered that. Baseball. So let's move on. Let's move on to college football, Eli, because there's a very, very big game today. And it was actually going to be my monologue before this whole Jones and Rogers situation. But this is a big game today. Biggest game in college football. Ohio State
Absolutely.
is hosting Indiana, and we're going to find out, is Indiana for real? And
Absolutely.
it seems like they are. The coach Signetti, everybody seems to love this guy. He came from James Madison, basically took most of his team with him. So that gives him, a lot of credibility that he could take a smaller school like James Madison, go to the Big Ten, and right now they're undefeated. And I'm rooting for them, even though I'm an Ohio State guy. I'm kind of rooting for the underdog, and I'm going to bring that up why I mentioned that in a little bit in our high school segment down the road. But what a big game! I don't think they could beat Ohio State at the Horseshoe, but I think it's going to be a close game. I know the spread is high, and I don't care about spreads, but
it plays a factor.
Yeah, but they're more they got to get their credit that they're even in this game at undefeated, and we only know about Indiana as a basketball powerhouse for many, many years. But this is a great story, and I hope they hang in there and play a competitive game against Ohio State.
Absolutely. And here's my other. I think it's going to be an epic game today. I think Ohio State's going to really go and push their limits to the test. Same with Indiana. I think that Ohio's going to get the victory here, considering that they are home. But it's going to be really a competitive game, and I think it's going to be a good game to watch out for.
Yep. But there's also another big game today, and we have the undefeated Army Black Knights taking on Notre Dame. And
7 o'clock at NBC from Yankee Stadium.
Right, at Yankee Stadium, but this is a rivalry that, goes back, decades. And, of course, you would expect Notre Dame with the talent that they got. They should win the game, but, Armies, they keep surprising. And I think hopefully they keep it competitive. But you saw when Navy was undefeated against Notre Dame, Notre Dame absolutely dismantled them. So I hope it's a little bit more competitive, but it's a great setting. Army, Notre Dame, and Yankee Stadium. Gotta love it.
Absolutely. Now, other big games I want to look out for today, Jim. Ole Miss versus Florida, 12 o'clock ABC. Kentucky, Texas, 3:30 ABC. Penn State, Minnesota. It's going to be a great game. 3:30 CBS. BYU, Arizona, 3:30 ESPN. Colorado, Kansas. I love that game. 3:30 on Fox to watch out for. Alabama, Oklahoma, 7:30 ABC, and Texas A&M and Auburn, 7:30 ESPN. I think those are great games to watch out for. We have actually a great weekend of college football games, not like, select few to watch out for. We have tons to look out for at each of the 4 windows at the 7, the 3, and the 12. The 3 window, the 12, 3, and 7 window.
Yeah, and we've seen with college football, like I said, BYU was, they got beat last week, and they were like the number 6 team in the country. So upsets are not uncommon this year in college football.
Absolutely.
And I think what the one game that you brought up, and it's kind of, I know a lot of people are going to say Oklahoma is not a good football team, but with the way games have gone this year, I think there's a fairly good chance, if I were to say who would be my potential upset special today, is Oklahoma beating Alabama. And I'm a big Alabama guy, as you know, but they haven't been the
100% possible.
Yeah, so I think I'm looking forward to these games today. And you mentioned the Ohio State Indiana game kicks off at noon. I guess that's on Fox.
Fox, yep, that's on Fox. Mm-hmm.
Right. So listen, college football, this is great, and it's all.
I got 3 notes more for.
Tear it up.
All right. First off, one of the top recruits heading into this year for college football, Juju Lewis, has decided to commit to Colorado. So that was announced this week on the Pat McAfee show. That's pretty big for Colorado on their pickup side. And we all know the Pop-Tart Bowl was a big.
The reason.
Go ahead.
No, but the thing with that move that opens up a lot of speculation about Deion Sanders and whether he's going to stay at Colorado or go where his son gets drafted and so forth. So that's a big move. So I'm sure that the number 1 recruit quarterback, if he's committing to Colorado, then I got to believe that Deion Sanders, if he has any dignity or honesty to him, that he's all in on this. And Colorado's had a great year. They're still in the college football playoff picture. So, yep.
Yeah, and the Pop-Tart Bowl was one of the best bowls as we've seen from last year. This year they decided the MVP of the game gets to choose what the team eats, Pop-Tart-wise. They have flavors this year with frosted wild berry, frosted hot fudge sundae, and a discontinued mystery flavor. Those are the 3 choices they have for winning the Pop-Tart Bowl when it happens. And
what is your favorite Pop-Tart?
I don't eat Pop-Tarts. Is that crazy to think about?
You've never had a Pop-Tart?
No.
Oh my goodness. No. Well, my favorite is chocolate frosted. That's my favorite.
Oof. All right. Well, then I have to try one.
Please, of course.
Okay. Well, all right. I'm going to make fun of it out of the comments, but it's okay. But yeah, I got to try it now. All righty. And last week, the Pat McAfee kicking contest on College Game Day gave away $800,000 to 2 kids. The one contestant said she didn't want to kick it. Henry Silver came in. He kicked it beautifully right down the middle and 1 attempt only. Beautiful. He won himself $200,000. The girl won $200,000 and $400,000 to hurricane relief. A total of $800,000. Pretty awesome to see there.
Okay. Good.
And yeah.
All right, Eli. Let's move on to the NFL.
Absolutely.
Like I said, we covered some stuff that were real topics that I wanted to vet off, and but let's look at a couple of other things that have happened, like the way the Dallas Cowboys have completely imploded, and they were imploding.
Horrible. Bottom line,
they were imploding with Dak Prescott. So the team is a mess, and there's going to be wholesale changes around, and Jerry Jones will fire Mike McCarthy. Even though I don't know if Mike McCarthy is solely responsible for the way these guys have played, but
no, I don't think he's solely responsible. But at the same time, too, is they lost their quarterback. What else? There's not much you can do from there, knowing your quarterback is out. I 100% think that there was definitely something wrong with Dallas this year. But at the same time, too, is I think it's not him. I think there's somebody else on the team that needs to go first. That's
Well,
my
yeah.
reason.
Well, the thing with the Cowboys, I think we knew going into the season they didn't have a running game, and that's a key to the Dallas Cowboys' success. And so you got to put that on Jerry Jones. He's the general manager and the owner. So, but you know what? My heart's not broken for the Cowboys, especially after the year the Giants are having. So, we can go to the basement in that division together. So that's how I
Absolutely.
feel.
And the roof was falling on Monday night, so you knew that there was trouble right from the start.
Right. But then, the other team that everybody's starting to say, wow, this could be a legitimate Super Bowl team is the
The
Detroit
Lions.
Lions.
They're
Yeah.
good.
And the way that Jared Goff has been playing, they got a lot of weapons. They got two outstanding running backs. They got
They're
wide
real good.
receivers. They got a good tight end. So things are all shaping up. And the NFC is wide open. And I think that, they're clearly the favorite to get to the Super Bowl in the NFC. And on the AFC side, okay, right now the
It's
best
open.
team that it looks is the Buffalo Bills, right? No question.
Yeah.
And they beat, again in the regular season, they beat Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
But
But
don't
again, I just
dismiss
want to point out
Kansas City.
that's the regular season, though. Buffalo's good right now, but I wouldn't say they're the favorite to win it all. That's my
Right.
thing. They're going to be
look at
favored to potentially go first place, maybe make the playoffs 100%, but I do not say favorite in the playoffs because we know Buffalo's history and we cannot count that. And we know when Kansas City does make it, we know that Kansas City is going to be a whole different creature in the playoffs versus the regular season.
100%. You're right. But when you look at it, like, look at Eli, how things change from week to week. Like 3 weeks ago, everybody looked at the Baltimore Ravens as the team that's going to the Super Bowl and the year Lamar Jackson was having. And now, 3
It's
weeks
weird.
they're just
Too
a
many
team.
options.
Yeah, they're just as vulnerable as any other team in the league. So
Yeah.
things change. But I still think, this may be the year that Josh Allen can get over that hump. But if it comes down to it, you know me, I could never bet against number
Patrick
15 for
Mahomes.
Kansas City.
Absolutely.
Can't do it.
And now what up the West for the NFC? That is open right now because Seattle had a big win last week for over San Francisco. Geno Smith touchdown at the end, 20-17 the final. And now they're playing a big game tomorrow versus Arizona, who right now, between Seattle and Arizona and Los Angeles, are the front runners for first place. But the big game tomorrow isn't Packers 49ers in my book. That big game is going to be Cardinals Seattle. I don't care if it's just because divisional. That is going to determine who wins first place in that division, who still has a shot at making it at the 5, 6, or 7 seed in the NFC playoffs. That is a big game to watch out for tomorrow.
Yeah. And you look at it, a lot of people, like I said, are starting to look at the Chargers as a formidable team as well. And
Right,
I'll give
absolutely.
credit to Harbaugh, but Herbert, and I've always said, I'm not 100% sure he belongs in that conversation with the Burrows, the Mahomes, and the Allens, but he's playing much, much better. He seems to have control. And, as much as it pains me to say, I'll give Harbaugh a little bit of credit because, they're going to be in the mix down the road.
Absolutely. And now another thing I want to talk about too is this Browns team. They can't win against just a normal team that is not in the division. But when it comes down to these division games, they win those games. They beat the Ravens Thursday Night Football in the snow. They beat the Steelers, and they're about to take on sooner or later the Bengals, along with these two teams again. But that just goes to show you that this is that wishy-washy team where you don't know what's going to happen. And look what just happened Thursday night in the snow.
Yeah, I know. And this is the NFL. That's why I tell people who go to these DraftKings and they bet these parlays, it's never going to work out. And
Absolutely.
Like I said, you know how opposed to sports gambling I am. And when the slogan is bet what you can afford to lose, that means you're going to lose.
Exactly. And I do got a couple other notes before you go to our picks and stuff. First off, we're going to start off with a Thursday night football flex has happened in Week 16. Denver Broncos versus LA Chargers will replace Cleveland versus Cincinnati, the original scheduled game for Week 16. The Brandon I. Allen will start Sunday versus the Packers. Brock Purdy is out with an injury. The 49ers also ruled out Nick Bosa.
Yeah, big loss. Big
loss is there. Beyonce will perform at halftime during the Ravens-Texans game on Christmas Day on the Netflix special. So, if you really want to watch football, you ain't watching it because we already saw streaming issues with the Mike Tyson fight. Now add Beyonce to an NFL game. That is really going down, my friends. And the last note to look at here, beginning January 3rd through the playoffs, Jason Kelce is a new late night host. He'll be hosting, they call it Late Night with Jason Kelce. The show will be live on ESPN on 5 consecutive Fridays, taped in front of a live studio audience in Philadelphia. And for tickets, you could visit the ESPN press release page or oneiota.com. And
I don't get
the Conan O'Brien, the Colbert, and the Kimmel for a late night.
I don't get this Jason Kelce thing. I just don't get it. I
Money.
don't get it.
Funniness. That's what it comes down to. But we'll see how this talk show goes. I'm interesting to see.
Okay. And before we get into our picks, just one other note, because, the one team, and I know, they have a losing record and they're giving up a lot of points, but I still believe that Joe Burrow could rally this team and back them into the playoffs. I know the defense is giving up too many points, but he's having that kind of an MVP type season for a team that's not winning games. They're scoring points, but they're giving up too many. If they could turn that around, then I think they could run off a little streak. I just keep an eye on them because I believe in Joe Burrow. That's all.
All right. Not so much.
Okay, Eli. This is the moment of all of our loyal listeners wait for,
every week.
Who had a week? Who didn't have a week? Well, I'm here to say first and foremost, I didn't have a great week. I've had 2 bad weeks, as a matter of fact, after a string of very good weeks. So I was only 1-3 last week, and you
0-4. You're 0-4.
No.
You had the Jets, the Ravens, the Falcons, and the Bengals. They all lost.
You're absolutely right.
0-4.
Oh my goodness.
0-4, and Eli went 2-2.
Oh, I could have sworn I had 1 win there. Okay.
It's all right. You want to make sure you got at least 1 win. Nope. 0.
No, I stand corrected. I stand corrected.
And now we go to the beautiful board that we all wait for every week. The crown is still in Jim's hands, but I'm only 5 games out. That's the good part about it. I love it. 21-24 is where I stand, and 26-19 is where Jim stands, but I'm almost there. I just need 5 more wins.
Oh my goodness! I thought I was 1-3. Okay, so what? I'll still keep my lead, still keep the crown. And
I need 5 wins to make it to Jim, and it's only week 12, so I'm gonna win. I have a feeling.
Okay, well, I got 4 games that we're gonna pick, and then we're gonna see whether your forecast comes true or not. All right, Eli. So here's the games I'm picking, and then I'll just run them off. First game is Philadelphia and the Rams, and I think I'm not a big believer in the Philadelphia Eagles. I know Barkley's having the year, quite possibly an MVP season, but I can't seem to get into the Jalen Hurts when it matters category. So I know the Rams are kind of an up and down team, and they've been battling injuries with Kupp and those kind of guys. And Stafford sometimes has some ailing injuries, but I'm going to take the Rams in the upset this week over Philadelphia. All right. Second game. And you mentioned before, I made these picks before anyway. So the fact that Purdy's out and Bosa's out for San Francisco and they travel to Green Bay. Just remember though, McCaffrey's back and he's a formidable guy. But I'm going to go with the Packers today. I'm really impressed with the way that they even their losses were very close games and that they could have won. So Jordan Love is firmly in control of that. I'm sure Green Bay fans are happy. I'm taking Green Bay as my pick for this week. And here's kind of a, somebody would say, well, yeah, anybody could pick this game. Well, no, Kansas City and Carolina. And yes, this is one of my lock picks. But, sometimes people get tripped up in locks. But I don't bet against Patrick Mahomes.
I thought you were going to pick Panthers for a second. I was like, Jim, no, you don't. I was like, you ain't going to do that.
I'm not. I'm taking Kansas City because I think Carolina is a mess, even though they beat the Giants in Germany last week or 2 weeks ago. I'm really unimpressed with Bryce Young and the progress. I thought he was going to be a star in this league, and he's not. But I'm going to go with Kansas City. And the fourth game is Minnesota at Chicago. And I know a lot of people are writing Chicago off, and they're not going to the playoffs. And Kalen Williams was the toast of the town for his first few games, and he's come back. And playing quarterback in the NFL is not an easy job, especially for a rookie. But I'm going to take them to upset Minnesota this week.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a believer in Sam Darnold, even though he's having a great season. They could win, they could lose. You don't know what Minnesota team's going to show up. So that's my upset pick of the week. And I turn it over to you, my partner.
Well, it looks like we disagreed on one game this week. That's all.
Oh.
And that game is going to be Eagles-Rams, Sunday Night Football, 8:20 NBC. I'm taking Philadelphia in the victory here. I think that Philadelphia is going to be the better team. I think we saw a wishy-washy Rams situation. I use the word wishy-washy a lot. That's, if you don't know me, that's my
Gotcha.
I think that they're this, like, as you mentioned, up and down team. One day they do good, one day they do the bad. They're going to be fighting right now, but I think Philadelphia is going to get the victory here. Packers, 49ers, I got the Packers here. I think if San Francisco was healthy, San Francisco, I might have picked them. But right now, they have a lot of guys unhealthy, and including Brock Purdy. So I think that gave Packers the advantage here to get the victory. Kansas City Panthers, 1 p.m. CBS. If the Panthers win this game, they're making the playoffs. That's my pick. Yeah, but they're not picking the Panthers. I'm not picking the Panthers. I'm taking the Chiefs. But if the Panthers beat the Chiefs, they're going to the playoffs. That's all I could say.
Okay.
And the last game, Vikings Bears, 1 p.m. on Fox. One thing I said before this, the Browns game, I said on the 12th Richard podcast, the other show I do, I said the spread doesn't look right. It was 3.5. I picked the Steelers to win, but the spread doesn't look right. And look what happened. The Browns won. Steelers were favored by 3.5. Same situation this weekend. Minnesota's favored by 3.5. I actually changed my pick in the middle of the show last night, and I'm taking the Bears for the victory here, 24-15. I think that the Bears are going to win this game. And I think it has to do with the spread. I think everybody's going to take Minnesota, and Bears are just going to surprise everybody. So, yeah, I'm taking Bears 24-15, Chiefs 24-20, Packers 32-24, and Philadelphia 29-22. Those are my picks.
And listen, okay, so there's not going to be a lot of separation between who's got the crown, who doesn't, because we're aligned
going to be neck and neck except for that one game. Right.
Right. But, and you bring it up, and rightfully so, the point spread. And that's what drives me crazy. That's what it starts to make me question that the integrity of the game is somehow in question, because it shouldn't have anything to do with whether or not
always
there's 3
factors.
points, 7 points. I just don't. I'm a guy
that just watches the game and watches football. I 100% agree with that.
Right. And who's going to win? I don't care who's favored, who's not favored. That's right. That's my.
I'm looking at it now from the global perspective. That's how I'm looking at it when I make these picks now, because that's what it seems like you got to do lately. I don't know.
Okay. You're not wrong. I mean, you're not wrong, because, these guys.
Lately, that's what's happening lately. Yeah.
I know. You got it. Okay. So we covered the NFL, and let's just stick with football real quick, because it's well, you know what, Eli? big games today in New Jersey in high school football, and
Bergen
I
Catholic
want to
St.
bring
Joe's.
that up. Right. So my St. Joe's is going against Bergen Catholic, and somebody asked me, what do I think my chances of beating Bergen Catholic? And I've said all along, the whole season, they're a powerhouse football team, Bergen Catholic. They're the number one team, rightfully so. Um, but I'm just hoping that St. Joe's can hang in there for at least 3 quarters and not let the game get away from them, to give them a puncher's chance in the end. And, I'm not going to be surprised if Bergen Catholic wins the game, but, I think St. Joe's, this is the second time in about 4 weeks that they're meeting. So, they're doing their homework and trying to find the holes to exploit. Should be a great game, and you can watch that game for our local fans because it's on NJ.com live. Because I watch high school football from across the country when they're on ESPN, because these are the kids that are going to be in the college ranks, and some of them are going to go to the NFL. So very, very big game this week. And so from a high school perspective, yes. And I know you'd like to give a plug to your school, St. Mary.
The St. Mary Volleyball team, they won the state championship. So congrats to them. St. Mary Volleyball took home the victory 2-1 over Rutgers Prep, who beat them last year in the state championship. This year, the revenge happened. St. Mary's got the victory. So congrats to them. And a banner actually just was just raised yesterday at the gym. So congrats to them. And it's officially up.
Okay. One other thing, and I'm gonna post a picture in a little bit, but we're talking about, football in general. So I want to give a shout out to the Oakland Braves. And I played for the Oakland Braves when I was a youngster. And one of my dear friends, loyal listener, probably listening to the show right now, his son is in the Oakland Juniors, who won the championship this weekend. And that's Aiden Pickenich. And we have a picture of Aiden down the road here, but congratulations to them. So we cover from
everything,
NFL to college to high school to little pee wee leagues, and
we got it all, folks.
We do. It's a show that covers everything. That's what we say. Right.
Where are we
heading? Okay, Eli. Let's move on to some random points of interest. You usually have a lot, and of course, that's sponsored by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut, and I had an opportunity to have a conversation with Mike Lynch, who, like I said, recovering very, very nicely from his accident. And we wish that the Lynch family and the Lynch Toyota family all the best. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, couple of little tidbit notes. And I've grown to dislike this guy because of the way that he just goes into front offices and says, I want to be traded. But James Harden, can't deny it, moves past Ray Allen in the all-time three-point list behind. No one will ever catch Steph Curry. But Ray Allen held that record for many, many years, and now he's third as Harden passes him on that list. Wow. Another one, and we're losing a great figure in that particular sport, and that's tennis. And we've talked about the recent decline of Rafael Nadal due to injuries and so forth. And, he's just given us just years and years and years of quality tennis with the Federers and the Djokovic. But, he's finally done. He lost his Davis Cup match. And he had a great line. He said, I lost my first Davis Cup match, and I lost my last Davis Cup match. That means it's time for me to retire. It was a great line. Wow. But class act, 100%, one of the top 5 tennis players of all time. So we wish him the best. And from the college basketball ranks, Gino Auriemma passes Tara Vanderveer as the all-time winningest Division I coach in college basketball history. That's men and women. So
that's pretty crazy.
The guy puts out a team every year. You just look. He had multiple streaks of consecutive wins that it's just unparalleled. Like one of them over 100, another one was 90, another one was 70. I mean, just think of that. the players that he's developed and the winning tradition in Stores, Connecticut for the University of Connecticut is just can't deny it. The guy is
He's good.
he's a basketball legend, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and one of my other random points was, will Deion Sanders take the opportunity to move to the ranks? And I still think it's a possibility that he goes to the Dallas Cowboys. I know it sounds hard to believe. I don't think he's
But it's
qualified
possible.
to take over an NFL team, but there's more to it. He's a legacy. Jerry Jones loves him. Don't rule it out, but as you pointed out, the number one quarterback recruit made a commitment to Colorado, and of course, you could always change your decision if Deion Sanders changes his. So keep an eye out for that.
All right. Let's get to some to points. I have a lot to cover here. I'm going to start off with the NHL. The Carolina Hurricanes and Winnipeg Jets hold first place in their respective conferences tonight. The Devils take on the Capitals at 7:00. They're holding second place at the moment. Alex Ovechkin has broken a left fibula and is expected to miss 4 to 5 weeks. And after this week, before the injury, he was only 27 goals away from beating Wayne Gretzky's goal-scoring record. So we hope for a speedy recovery and hope he can break it this year, the goal-scoring record.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to bring it up as well. He did get injured. He is having, and he's going to break the record, which I didn't think he was. My brother and I always disagreed. He said he would definitely break it. Gretzky wants him to break it. But you know what? He's not the player that he once was. And as we said before, if he breaks the record, he's never going to be known as the greatest hockey player of all time like Wayne
Absolutely.
Gretzky. So.
No. Wayne Gretzky is going to still hold the title, and he's still going to be the greatest. It's just a matter of him knowing and getting the credit, saying, okay, I did this accomplishment. I beat the greatest of all time in goal scoring. That's what it's all for, really.
Sure.
A new stat was released showing that all three coaches for the Jack Adams Coaches Award finalists, Seattle's Dave Haxtell, Boston's Jim Montgomery, who just got fired, and Devils head coach Lindy Ruff are no longer with their respective team. They got fired, and they were all award nominees. Can you believe that?
Oh, my goodness. I didn't know Lindy Ruff got fired.
Yeah, he got fired from Seattle, the Devils.
I didn't know that. Oh, that was last year, though.
Right. But they were just overall as a stat because they just fired Boston, but they were saying overall that those three guys were fired from their team that they were nominated with and for. That's what the stat
I got you.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that Jim Montgomery in Boston was a very big surprise because
that was. It just happened this week.
And they're having a decent season, so there must have been some other extenuating circumstances why he got let go.
Over to the NBA. The NBA Cup quarterfinals will be held on December 10th and 11th. The semifinals on the 14th, and December 17th will be your championship game for the ultimate cash prize.
Oh, well, exactly. Think of what you just said. All that is about money, and the winning team gets $500,000 a player. For guys that are already making $40 million a year. It's meaningless. I don't get it. It doesn't make me
happy.
Want to watch the NBA anymore. I think the courts are cool. That's about it.
And Hubie Brown will call one more game with the regular season for the NBA before his retirement. Yes, he did announce he will be retiring from calling games.
Well, guess what? I had an opportunity to meet Hubie Brown.
Oh, wow.
Had a conversation with him. He's a Niagara University graduate, and I actually got a chance to have a lengthy conversation with him about 10 years ago. And yeah, he's still with it. He's still sharp, and he's in his 80s, probably close to 85 by now, but always a great guy and a true basketball guy. No doubt.
Right. Well, a couple other notes. As we all know, TNT is ending its rights with the NBA. They've no longer signed a contract. However, ESPN is saving Inside the NBA, as Inside the NBA will be going to ESPN. They've announced that the show will be produced and operated by TNT and in Atlanta with no changes to the show. Stephen A. Smith will not be on. That's the good news. As long as everybody resigns their contract, the show rolls on pretty much as it was here in TNT. They did say they will get the games for all ABC coverage, conference finals, playoffs, and Christmas Day, opening week and final week, and of course the NBA Finals. That's all part of the new deal. Now, they did say NBA Countdown is going to remain, but they are going to also add inside the NBA. So it'll be like a little bit less and a little bit more. That's what they're trying to do here. And basically what they're trying to do in this situation is same thing like the Pat McAfee show. When they added Pat McAfee show, Pat McAfee controls his own rights, his own production, everything. It's just a simulcast on ESPN. Same here with the NBA on TNT. It's just not on TNT. It's on ESPN and ABC now.
Yep.
If you were having streaming issues and if you don't have Netflix to watch the NFL games on Christmas Day, there's plenty of NBA to happen and to cover and to watch on Christmas Day. And they also announced, Disney and ESPN announced the first ever Disney Dunk the Halls animated game during the Spurs versus Knicks game. It'll be a virtual game taking place at Main Street at the Magic Kingdom, and it'll feature Mickey, Minnie, and friends playing basketball with content available on ESPN2, ESPN Plus, and Disney Plus. And ESPN plans to cancel Around the Horn next year, the popular show right before PTI, which is some shocking news there.
Yeah, unwatchable.
Yeah,
actually,
it really is.
Unwatchable.
Meanwhile, the LA Sparks have named Lynn Roberts the new head coach of the team over in the WNBA. And if you were in the Hudson River on Tuesday, you saw a drone show happen for the christening of the Disney Treasure. So if you saw that, that happened over this week at the Hudson River, which was pretty cool. Over 1,000 drones took place in the Hudson River. Pretty cool. And the final note is Betty White will be getting a stamp on the U.S. Postal Service new collection in 2025. So that's pretty cool to see.
Hey, Betty. But listen, I wanted to bring something up because I had an opportunity the other day to watch one of our former guests and supporter of the show. I watched Arda Ocal on The Point. He has a show on ESPN, and you know what? He is very articulate, very good, and I really enjoyed the show, and I would love to have him back on the show.
Work on it.
They did some. I know. Remember when he was on the show, he mentioned he's a big Star Wars fanatic kind of thing. So he always works that into the show. But I had an opportunity to watch it, and he really knows his stuff. And it was a great show, and I'd love to have him back on.
Absolutely. And we do have a comment from Tom. He says, "Go Hoosers."
Yes, I know. I believe that Mr. Pugh is out in Indiana this week with his old alumni buddies, and I'm sure they're going to rip it up watching the game. But yeah, we'll certainly be watching it, Tom, and enjoy your time with your boys.
All right, and now we move along to the entertainment and photo segment sponsored by Vital Selection. Scan the QR code to learn more.
Yep. So we got a few pictures here we want to post up.
And our movie picks and shows.
Yep,
whatever.
we'll get to that.
You want to do that first?
Well, okay. You know what? Why don't we do the movie picks? And, this is not a coincidence, my movie pick, because we've talked verbatim about Indiana and the big game they have today. So my movie pick of the week is Hoosiers with Gene Hackman. Great movie, great basketball movie. Eli, you would love it. It's an outstanding movie and from 1986, but it stands the test of time for me. Great, great movie.
All right. Well, this week you have the 98th Annual Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, 8:30 on NBC, and the National Dog Show at 12 o'clock if you're interested to watch any of those two Thanksgiving Day programs. I think to me, watch a good Christmas movie. The Polar Express is the one I like the best to start off your Christmas selection.
Okay.
And also, I rewatched last night Sully. What a great movie that is. I know I recommended it before, but I love the movie Sully. Miracle on the Hudson. Love watching that movie, and we just rewatched it last night.
I don't even think I've seen that movie, actually.
Well, you got to. I was the same thing. Well, you got to watch Sully, and I got to watch Rudy. So, yeah. Well, I know Sully is actually a really good movie, and you really learn so much and how much they accuse Sully, the pilot, and everything during the whole incident. Because remember, it happened in 2009, a couple years after 9/11, so they thought it was a whole another 9/11 moment. But it's such a great movie, and you got to watch it. You have to. It's such a great movie.
Excellent.
All right,
let's. But you like my Hoosier picks? You see how I work that in with the.
Of course, Indiana? Absolutely. The nice tie-in, of course, absolutely. Yep.
Let's get some photos. Thank you very much. And there it is. That's Logan Miller. Look at that jump shot. He's playing basketball now that football's over and this fall baseball season. And I
love the pick.
Yeah, I just look at it. It's great.
Good stuff.
And he's really into it. Really, really good. So I wanted to
And
give him a
look, they
shout
made
out.
it to Epcot, Paris.
Yeah, and there's, Eli is Mr. Disney. So there's my daughter um and AJ in Orlando, Florida at Disney World. So that should make you happy.
Yeah,
She had a
I
great
was like,
time.
I noticed it right away because it said that's the Eiffel Tower. That's clearly Epcot.
Yep, absolutely was.
Yeah.
Next pick. There's my two babies. That's my grandson Hudson on the left and my granddaughter Hayden on the right. And they're getting their flu shot. So
I figured
everybody,
that
if you
because it's
didn't
really
get
bad.
your
I'm like,
flu shot,
that's clearly a flu shot. So they're happy about it. Let's say that's not supposed
yep.
to be happy.
And here's the picture I mentioned of Aiden Pickenich holding up this trophy for the Oakland Braves championship team. So Anthony, congratulations to you and your son on your championship.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah. All right,
All right.
Eli. So let's move on to our notable passings. And from the world of sports, we'll start off, and this was a really powerful figure in the world of gymnastics, and that was Bella Caroli. And if you go back and look at some of the athletes that he trained, and it was Nadia Comaneci, and I remember watching her get the perfect 10 in the events in 1976 in Montreal. She was from Romania. He was a big part of that. And of course, from the U.S. side, he was Mary Lou Retton's coach, who went on obviously to win the gold medal for the United States as well. So very powerful figure with his wife. And there was never really any controversy with these guys like what's come out over the recent years with the NASA and the gymnastic. This guy was a coach and, just a legendary coach in the world of women's gymnastics. So, another one, Colin Peterson, who was the original drummer of the Bee Gees. And the Bee Gees can't deny their success in music history. And, it's so funny because I always listen to some music before I come on and do the show.
I do
And
too.
of all things, what comes on? A Bee Gees song. So it was
Wow.
pretty good. He
You
was,
do like a radio station, or you got like a playlist or something you play?
yeah, no, I just like a Pandora thing. And
Okay.
out of the blue, it came up with Colin Peterson and the Bee Gees. So
Yeah, I end up.
I'm going to bring that up.
That's pretty cool. You see me, it's just put on some YouTube music and just YouTube
Yep.
videos and let the music play on while you do the work.
Absolutely. But it
It's
was
the best way
ironic.
to go.
But it was ironic that a Bee Gees song came on this morning. So
Next year, we got to start music or food picks. That's what we got to do next year. Music and
all
food.
right,
We'll do that instead of movies next year.
we cover it all.
Yeah.
Another one from World of Entertainment. A lot of people won't know the name. I didn't even know the name, but I certainly know the music. It was Vic Flick, who wrote the James Bond theme.
Oh,
Big time.
of course.
So I actually looked him up, and I got a clip of him playing that the guitar riff that he wrote for the James Bond movie, and it's just legendary. And
Wow.
he was 87 years old. And from the personal side, I wanted to mention one other. My aunt Pat passed away, and my aunt was
So sorry.
she was the remaining third sister. My mother had two other sisters, and Pat was certainly a character and wonderful person. But she passed away. She was in failing health for a while. But I wanted to give a shout out to her that she's going to join her sisters up in heaven, and wanted to make sure. And I passed that on to very
So
personal
sorry to hear
for
that.
me and my family. So
Very sorry to hear that.
yep, thanks.
Condolences.
Did I miss anybody, Eli?
Nope, you got it all.
All right.
Well,
Well,
we do have
listen.
a program alert for next week. We'll be live on Black Friday at 7 o'clock. So we are Black Friday special 7 o'clock. So we hope you join us then. We don't have any discounts or sales, unfortunately, but we do have a great show for you. We'll be live then instead of Saturday. So we hope you tune us there, and we hope everyone has a happy and safe Thanksgiving.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what? We've gotten some positive feedback on our Friday Night Lights show, so this will be no exception.
And it's a Black Friday theme too, because that's
Yeah.
obviously the day, the discount and deal. So pretty cool.
So I guess we can call it Black Friday Night Lights, right?
Black Friday night sports and Mono-Logue.
Okay. But everybody, and to all our listeners, thank you for your support and have a wonderful Thanksgiving with your families. And we'll see you guys next Friday at 7 p.m. Eli, you guys have a great Thanksgiving as well.
And same to your family. Have a great time, everyone. Bye bye.
All right, guys. See you next week.
Bye bye.